So we are going to mix up a beautiful batch of super moist pumpkin bread. So I got just regular pumpkin, not pumpkin pie filling, and this has the really good sugar on the top. So my daughter absolutely loves this, and she's home for college for the weekend, so I'm going to send this with her when she goes back tomorrow. So let's get started. Preheat your oven to 350 degrees. Grab your bowl. This is one of my favorites. It's one of the Magnolia ones from Target, but it's just a really nice heavy. I love this one in the fall. It's a little overkill because it's kind of big, but be great for mashed potatoes and stuff at Thanksgiving. Okay, 2 eggs. And you might want to stay tuned because I'm making barbecue meatballs and squash today. So it is cold here. Okay, 1/2 cup of vegetable oil. I'm gonna use my 1/2 cup. If you want a double hint of olive oil, you can do 1/2 olive oil and 1/2 vegetable oil. I do not care for olive oil, the strong olive oil in this, so you can use either or if you prefer to. Okay, 1 cup of sugar. And I've got a 4th cup here because I have done a lot of baking this morning, so everything is, so I've got 1 cup of sugar. And I'm looking at my, oh, okay, we need to whisk this together. Hold on. One thing about the big bowl is you can whisk and it doesn't go flying out. My husband likes to put everything in the smallest container possible, and it drives me nuts because I don't like to have stuff all over the counter. So I go bigger, he goes smaller. Okay, now we're gonna whisk in the pumpkin. So we need 1/2 can. If you want to use the whole can, you can double this recipe and make 2 loaves because this does freeze well. So you can do that. Okay, so we're gonna use 1/2 can of pumpkin, and I'm gonna use the other 1/2 to make pumpkin muffins, probably tomorrow. Nothing goes to waste in our house. I'm one of those people that doesn't like to waste money on food, so I use everything, especially with food being so expensive. Last year I bought these for 99 cents. They're $1.45 this year. Okay, I can't get that off, so I'm gonna put 1/2 can of pumpkin in. Okay, save that. Whisk that in. And look at how I love the pumpkin color. Okay, then we want an 1/4 cup of milk. Any kind of milk will use, it will do. And an 1/8 cup of water. So I'm gonna just use 1/2 of that. It's just a tiny little amount of water. Okay, mix that up, and then we're gonna add the dry ingredients. So 1 1/4 cup of flour, or sorry, no, I'm cutting this in 1/2. So 1 3/4 cups of flour. I had to do math in my head in the morning. I am an accountant though, so I should be able to do that in my head. Okay, so this is my cup. And then 3/4. I'm kind of a dumper, so. Baking soda, 1 teaspoon. I'm gonna grab my teaspoon. And cinnamon, a heaping, 1/2 teaspoon. Heaping though, so it's probably more like 1. Okay, so now that's it for the dry ingredients, but we are going to, okay, well there's one more step to this to get that really good sugar on the top, so I'll tell you that in a minute here. Okay, so mix this up. so now grab your loaf pan. So I'm using a slightly larger loaf pans. This is commercial grade, because when this is baked about 15 minutes, 10 minutes or 15 minutes, I'll look at my instructions. Then we put melted butter and the sugar over the top and then put it back in the oven. And this guarantees that my butter won't go all over the bottom of my oven. So it's a little bit overkill for this particular one, but I just don't like butter stuck at the bottom of my oven. Okay, so spray the pan. I got this at our restaurant supply store locally. Okay, now okay, so your oven should be preheated to 350 by now. Okay, and then we're gonna pour this in. This is always my awkward moment. Okay, so like I said, this is definitely gonna be an overkill on the size of the pan. Okay, so now we are going to bake that at 350 degrees for 35 minutes. And then what we're going to do is we're going to brush it with the melted butter and the sugar. So I'll show you that when it gets to the 35 minutes. And then we're going to put it back in the oven until it's done. So, okay, so like I said, this is a little overkill because it's so big. You can use a regular loaf pan too. But okay, so I'm gonna put it in the oven 35 minutes at 350, and then we'll do the second step and put it back in the oven. Okay, 35 minutes went by, and so then I took a 4th cup of butter and we're going to brush that on the top. So just pour it on that and then just brush it. And then we're gonna take the sugar in the raw, and we're going to take a 4th cup of sugar. And sprinkle it over the top. The best part of the pumpkin bread. Okay, and then we're going to put it back in the oven for 15 more minutes until the sugar's set and the bread test done with the knife. And then I'll show you the finished product. Okay, 50 minutes it's been. Squeaky oven. All right, I'm gonna pull this out. And this is what it looks like when it's done. Isn't that the most beautiful pumpkin bread you have ever seen? So you wanna make sure when you do the knife test that when your pumpkin bread is done, but you don't want to overdo it because then it will get dried out. And you can store this in the refrigerator and it'll last 3 to 5 days. So I hope you love this. And here is, sorry, somebody down here. Try to do this when nobody's home. Never works.